So go ahead and just tell a little bit about where you went and so forth.
I went to Malawi, a ministry called Hands on Africa, and Andre Delport is the leader, and he's a South African man who now lives in Chicago, and he's going to preach for us June 1st. So please invite people to come. I think you'll find it really interesting. And
Now, if he does a great job, I invited him. If he is not very good, David invited him. Okay.
All right. I'll
When did you go? When did you leave?
Oh my goodness. Got back.
Rachel Ann, when did he leave? Okay, I think I've got it here. Okay. David sent on April the 9th, we had a good first clinic today. We saw seminary students and their families, 175 patients. Internet service is terrible. You want to comment on the internet service or the seminary students you saw?
Comment on the seminary students. The most of the students are pastors, but they have very little theological training.
Where is this country? It's obviously in Africa. What part of Africa?
Southeastern Africa.
Southeastern.
And so he had the challenge of how do you train people who already are pastors and have responsibilities to pastor a church. So what he does is he has them come 1 week every 6 months. In the previous 5.5 months, they've been reading books and doing assignments. They come to the seminary for 1 week. The first part of the week, they take final exams on the courses they've taken. And the second part of the week, they have lectures on the courses they're going to take. Then they get a thumb drive with books and assignments on it. They take that back to their home and pastor churches for 5.5 months and do the assignments and read the books. And then come back again for a week, take final exams, and hear lectures. So they only spend 2 weeks a year at the seminary. The rest of the time, they're back at their home churches.
Now, you said that when they come in for that 5 weeks, they treat them like royalty, and they sleep in nice hotel rooms, right, and have great food and everything. What?
They charge them $40 a semester to take the training, and part of that $40 they get room and board for that week. And board consists of putting mattresses on the classroom floor. So they have 30 mattresses on the classroom floor, and 30 students sleep on the mattresses. In the morning, they pile the mattresses up in the corner, bring in chairs, and have lectures all day. And so he says the $40 doesn't even cover the food for that week. So they're clearly losing money charging them $40, but that's really all they can afford.
So these guys, are they, well, just for clarity, for maybe to help understand, are they kind of like bivocational pastors back home, or?
Right. That's my understanding. Most of them have a job and pastor a church. But they have to speak English and read English, so they have to be somewhat educated to do that.
So your help with those students, was it primarily for those students or their families as well?
Mainly students. A lot of the students are 40, 50 years old that need reading classes. So most of the students that I saw, I gave reading classes to.
Did any of them have their families come with them?
Some had their wives, so we saw some wives also.
Okay. Where they stayed?
I don't know where the wives stayed.
Okay. Okay.
I never thought to ask that.
So you sent a text the next day. Said we saw 72 more students and farm workers this morning, and 57 in nearby villages this afternoon. Anything on
just saw the rest of the students that needed to be seen. And he has like a 300-acre farm, and he rents land out to local farmers and takes part of what they produce as rent to generate income for the seminary.
All right, then the next day you said, we did a clinic in another nearby village this morning. This afternoon, all the ladies who help in the eye clinic did a big party for the orphans in the orphanage here on the farm. so we could not do an afternoon clinic. So tell us about the orphanage. Was that part of this ministry? Or?
Yes, he also has orphanages and widows centers where he takes care of orphans. And he started a school on the farm also for the local kids and for the orphans. So they go to school there on the farm too.
How many orphans would you say are in the?
I'd say about 40.
So is that like just a fraction of the orphans that are out there in that area, or is it pretty much if you're an orphan, you can come here and we're going to make it work?
I suspect it's a fraction because the orphans are sponsored by, he has people sponsoring orphans, and I think that's all he can afford.
Okay. All right, so the next day you said we treated 11 farm workers early this morning. Then we went to village right on the border with Mozambique and treated 120 patients. A Filipino lady is doing the counseling with the salvation bracelet. Each patient is given a bracelet, and the different colored stones are explained. It is an effective way to communicate with these patients. So the gospel, sharing the gospel, is critical to what you're doing.
Right. And giving them the salvation, they have something they can take home, something tangible. And the bracelet has the different colors. You know, red is the blood of Jesus, black is sin, and the gold is heaven. So basically, you can give the salvation message using those stones.
Okay. Today I did another clinic here at the farm treating seminary students and local villagers. I do not know why or how many yet. Today my focus was on training my interpreter so he can carry on after I leave.
Every time I go on a trip, I try to train someone, a local Christian, and leave them a fraction kid and my extra glasses so they can keep doing the eye clinic after I leave. So that was the focus for that day.
Yeah, and before you left, you actually were trying to let him do.
Right, yeah. The last day of the clinic, I typically let the interpreter do the exams and I just watch. So I use up, they watch me for a few days and then we kind of do it together and by the end, he's doing it himself. He or she is doing it.
All right, so this kind of goes a little bit different direction. On Sunday the 13th, you sent me a text that said, today was a remarkable day. There was a graduation ceremony for the students at the Malawi Baptist Theological Seminary, which is associated with Jacksonville Baptist Seminary in Jacksonville, Florida. They have 1 doctorate awarded, 7 masters, 98 bachelors, and the rest were associates and certificates for a total of 138 graduates. I'll let you go ahead and talk about that because if I read it, it's going to.
Okay. So they have a graduation every year. The associate's degree takes 2 years. The bachelor's degree takes 5 years, 10 semesters. The master's takes 3 more years for a total of 8 years. And the first doctorate was awarded that day, and it took him 13 years to earn the doctorate degree.
So it's not an easy road.
Not an easy road at all.
Yeah. You also said in that same text that I thought this was really interesting. Hands on Africa has 9 schools in 6 African countries with a total of 1,350 students.
Right. And so the reason I'm so impressed is because, each one of those students is a pastor, and he can go out and influence hundreds or thousands of people. So it's just unlimited how many people can be touched by the graduates of those seminaries. Really, really multiplying yourself big time. And that's why I was so impressed with it.
All right. And then you sent me a text message that said, it's pretty short, but it said, I'm at luggage carousel waiting on my suitcase.
Right. He texted me, said, are you home yet? So I texted back, no, I'm at the airport in Charlotte.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for David?
I would say that
the average age of the student. I'll repeat the question because my wife just looked at me really nasty up there. So give me a chance to repeat it after you ask your question. What is the average age of the students?
My impression, the average age is 30s and 40s. And that's why the reading glasses were so popular. Oh, no, that was at a church. We went to a church about an hour away and did a clinic one day, and they would talk in their language and end up biblio, the Bible. They're saying, I can no longer see to read the Bible. And then my interpreter would grab the Bible and show them John 3:16, and I'd do the refraction with that. So I assume most of those folks are already Christians who could no longer read the Bible because it didn't have reading glasses. Yeah.
I forgot. What was it Bill said again? That the question for that answer was, they couldn't read their Bibles anymore, so that was how they.
That was their chief complaint.
Okay. Did y'all hear her clapping at me? I mean, that's what she does in the morning when she wants the bed made. And I run in and make up the bed or go wash dishes or whatever. But, yeah. Yeah. All right. Any other questions for David? Anybody else? Donnie, you have any questions? Sweetie?
I just think this was just, like I say, I was just totally blown away by how the multiplication effect potential that this ministry has.
That's discipleship.
Right.
That's discipleship.
Right.
Yeah, you can take a missionary over and go share the gospel and, man, have many people make professions of faith, but this is discipleship, and that's what's so important. And that's a model for what we all ought to be doing, even here.
When we got ready to go back to the airport at the end of the seminar, one of the lecturers drove us about halfway to his church. So I got to talk to him some on the way back. And he went to the seminary like 15 years ago. And we went to his main church, and he has like 40 satellite churches that he's established.
Wow.
And he has a nursing school. He's building a building right beside the church where he's going to have IT training and welding. Those two things he's going to teach.
So 40 churches. He's obviously cannot pastor 40 churches.
No, he's got 40 pastors. He's got regions.
So he kind of oversees
Right.
them?
He's got 4 regions. He has a regional director, and the regional director oversees the 10 or so churches in that region.
Okay.
And so the pastors of the churches report to the director, and the director reports to him.
Yeah. Okay. And you were sharing with me that, in all seriousness, but you were sharing with me that you almost had a very tragic situation take place.
Right. So we got to the church, and then the pastor stayed and sent one of the people there to church to take us on to the airport. So we were in a van, in a church van, going to the airport. And the part of the roads in Malawi have been flooded, so they're just potholes everywhere. So on that section of the road, you drive about 15 miles an hour dodging potholes. Then there'll be a good section where there's no potholes, and you can go pretty fast on that. So we were on a good section of the road. It had gotten dark, and it started raining, and the windshield was cracked. The windshield wiper blades were totally worn out, and so the guy could not see very well at all. And we were flying down the road behind a big truck, and the big truck suddenly hit its brakes. So to avoiding rear-ending the big truck, they drive on the left side of the road, and I was, and the driver's on the right side. So I was in the left front passengers. So to avoid hitting the truck, he swerved into the right lane, and about 20 feet ahead of him was a man walking down the road. That's why the truck had hit his brakes. So we were about 3 seconds from slamming into that guy. He jerked the wheel to the right, and our left mirror missed his right shoulder by about 6 inches. If we'd have hit him, we'd have knocked him right in front of the big truck who'd have run over him. So I've never witnessed a violent death, and that's the closest I've ever come, because I was sitting right there and saw him miss the windshield by about 6 inches.
Wow.
So that was kind of exciting.
Okay. Yes, Michael, and I got to repeat your question. So what's that? Serena, talk to me. What's your question, Serena? Okay. How did you get started in this? How long you been doing it? What motivated you to keep doing it?
I really felt a call to go on mission in the early 1990s. And in 1999, someone came to the church here trying to recruit a nurse to go on a trip. And she ended up recruiting me. And at the time, it was called Tom Cox Ministries. And they went on about 6 trips a year. And so in January, wait a minute, let's see, I went on my first trip in 1999, so it must have been 1998 they came to the church. In January 1999, I went on my first trip to India and came back just blown away by the incredible need for eye care. It just never occurred to me that glasses aren't readily available like they are here. You know, reading glasses in every store and everything. They're just not available in a lot of developing countries. So the need for eye care is just incredible. And then also I was blown away by what a great evangelism tool it is. It really demonstrates the love of God pretty dramatically. These people haven't been able to see for 10 years, and then 3 minutes later, 1 minute they can't see, the next minute they can. So they think it's a miracle. It's not, it's just technology, it's just refraction. But to them, it's a miracle. And so that really got me motivated to go on trips. I started trying to recruit eye doctors and had very little success. So out of frustration, I decided if I can't recruit any eye doctors, I'll just train some. So I created a one-day seminar called Eye Doc in a Box. And I did my first seminar in 2007. And since then, I've trained about 2,000 laymen around the country. And we as a group have treated about 3 million patients. And this trip to Malawi was my 90th trip personally. And I've treated about 86,000 patients. So right now I'm trying to give ownership of Eye Doc in a Box to a couple in Georgia who are a lot younger than I am, because I want Eye Doc in a Box to continue after I'm no longer able to do it. And so they just retired. He's a businessman and she's a lawyer, and they've kind of taken over the administrative part of Eye Doc in a Box. And so hopefully they'll keep it going after I'm no longer able to do it. But that's kind of my story of missions. So I've been